Hey everyone, this is Lori Fetrick, and I have a special announcement right now, and that is this. So really pay attention if you can. And that is if you go in and you rate and review my podcast, what I'm going to do is I am randomly going to choose one person per month. Yes, one person per month. I'm going to grab and I'm going to have you come on to my podcast and we're going to do a rapid fire. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. It'll get some audience participation out there, and I want to give back. So this is me giving back to my audience. So please go rate, review my podcast, and I will pick at random one person per month to come on my podcast and do a rapid fire. So thank you so much, and go right now and rate and review. All right, welcome back to Chillin' with Ice. I'm Lori Fetrick, and this is where legends live on. And today's guest, I've been trying to get this girl on my podcast now for the last year, and she's been a little bit busy. I've hit every other gladiator in here, and the one person that I have wanted to talk to for the longest time is the one contender that took down all the female gladiators. And I want everybody to welcome Miss Peggy Odita. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Nice. Thank you so much for I get you finally on my podcast.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of traveling, so.
I bet. So first and foremost, Peggy Odita, you were the one contender, the one female contender that we all had the absolute toughest time with. You were the one to beat out of everybody. But let's get into first and foremost. I mean, when you tried out for the Gladiators, did you even remotely expect what has happened through that whole run?
Wow. No, actually, at the time when I used to watch it on TV like everybody else did, I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. That looks fun. And I thought, oh, that's not that hard. That can't be that hard.
Right.
Training as a heptathlete and everything. And I got, I actually worked out for the tryout because all the little things you have to do. I was like, oh, pull-ups. Yeah, I don't really do those. So let me get on those and make sure that I can do that. So yeah, I did train a little bit before, did the tryout, had the interview afterwards, after you go through all the tryout things, and they called me to be on the show. I was like super excited. So
how old were you back then?
Oh my gosh. 20s. I was in my 20s. I think I was like maybe 22.
Wow.
Maybe
Okay.
22 at the time.
So
Yeah.
so most of the gladiators, we were like 27, 28 area. So you were coming in 22.
Mm-hmm.
And wait a minute, you said you're a what is it called again?
Heptathlete. So that's 7 events over 2 days. Jumping, throwing, running, all of it. So it was fun.
Okay, so when you were in high school, were you training for all that kind of stuff? I mean,
actually, no. I did do track, but I also played basketball and ran cross country. So I was kind of like multi-sport athlete. So it was kind of a natural transition to move to heptathlon when I went to college. So
when you were in college, I mean, what was your major, by the way? What were you studying?
Product design. Yeah, and design.
Great.
So yeah. And my daughter's at Stanford now. Product design.
Wow. So, that's amazing. Yeah. That's so cool.
A lot of creative.
Going from being an athlete like that, coming into the Gladiators, I mean, our events probably look kind of easy compared to what you've done in a way.
They looked easy. They were not easy. I got that rude awakening when I got on the show. So yeah, no, it was harder than it looked. And I was surprised, but it was difficult.
All right. Yeah. So I was sitting on the plane last night because I was coming home from Florida, and as I drop my water, I have so many questions that I'm not going to get to, but hold on. This is what I want to know. Okay. So you were literally the last standing female contender. You were the one to beat for us. Mm-hmm. Now, when you went through everything, and you won, did you ever consider like, wow, I want to be a gladiator. I could totally do this.
No.
No, you didn't.
No, because it really wasn't the path I had in mind for myself. At that time, I was training to try and make an Olympic team. So, that kind of would have been like a derail from that whole, process for me. So at that time, no, I didn't think about doing that.
Just out of curiosity, if you were a gladiator, what would your name have been? Because
probably the Peginator. The Peginator. People call me that. I'm like, oh gosh, okay, that must stick. Yeah, the Peganator.
That is so funny. How
Yeah.
many seasons were you? I know I watched the documentary because I didn't know your backstory as well.
Mm.
So you went on it the first year. You won, but here's my question. Were there any gladiators that were like, and trust me, just because I'm sitting here, don't even go there. But were there any gladiators you were like, holy shit, this girl is hard to beat in this event?
I would have to say the top gladiators. And I mean, I know you're sitting there, but yes, you, Ice, Jazz was tough. Even I think as a third, probably Siren was
Yeah.
tough. Those are my top three. Like, oh gosh, okay, I got to get mentally and physically prepared. So
Wait a
yeah,
minute. So you literally had to get mentally and physically
yeah,
prepared for us when we hit some of these events.
of course,
Okay.
of
Tell me
course.
the events, like what were the hardest events for you? Let's say that, oh God, okay, that one day you had pyramid, powerball,
Oh
swing
yeah.
shot, joust. What was your easiest gladiator female? Let's go into joust. Okay,
You
so
want easiest?
yeah. Okay. So if you saw joust
Okay.
on the schedule for you that day and you saw a female gladiator and
Yeah.
it was easy, did you go, yes? And who would
Well,
that
I,
be?
I never wanted to underestimate anybody, honestly, because you'd start doing that, and that's when you've already lost. You
Okay.
can't ever underestimate anybody. But I'd have to say, probably in Joust, Zap was probably my easiest, only because of her size, and
Yeah.
she didn't have the reach.
Yeah.
And with my levers and everything else, it was an easier battle for me because she's a little, she was one of the smaller gladiators, still tough, but one of the
Yeah.
smaller gladiators. So
Okay. So, and then what is let's say if you had, oh, I know Jazz was brutal
it was
on the
tough.
joust because you
Yeah,
guys were
she was
almost the
tough.
same size, right?
Yes. And the thing is, I mean, she's tall, she had reach, and she was strong. So she was definitely one of the more difficult uh, contenders, or the people that I had to go against, one of the
So
opponents.
you hit so many. I mean, how many seasons did you actually compete? Because I know you came back like what, two or three
Yeah.
times?
Actually, honestly, my first season was an international show. Like it was just a smaller international show. I think the show was looking for some, crossover, some international people, and I have dual citizenship. I'm Nigerian as well.
Hmm.
So I got a call for that, and I did that one first and ended up winning that. It was like a smaller show, win like $2,000. I was like, ooh, good money. Let's go. At the
Okay,
time,
so
2000 was a lot to me.
hold on a second because I'm going to explain to the audience what that means is
Mhm.
because we had our normal season with our normal
Mhm.
contenders and everything, and then we had kind of like maybe we had the NFL
Mhm.
day to where the football players would come in, and then we had one day to where we had Playboy models come in. That was funny.
Remember
One
that
day.
one?
Right? I know you're laughing. And then we
Yeah.
had we had some Olympic athletes
Yeah.
come in one time. So this show that Peggy's talking about is they were looking for international players.
Mhm.
And that's when you came in on that particular show.
Right.
So they
Right.
actually made you try out for that as well, which is interesting.
Actually, for that one,
Or did they not?
I did not have to try out for
Okay.
that one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they
You
were
just
just
kind of walked in on that one.
yeah, because I was local, relatively local. I was living up in Northern California, so and the show was taped in Southern California, so I was relatively, local pretty much.
Mhm.
So it made it easy for them to, have me come down for that. And then the second one, I was like, after winning that first one, I was like, ooh, but you can win a car. But there's a car and more money. I was like, ooh, I want to try out. I put it on my calendar to try out for the regular season show. And I remember, that's when I was like, okay, I got to make sure I can do all these pull-ups and all the stuff. And went to the tryout, made it to the interview at the end. And I remember, and I can't remember his name, but the interviewer, he looks up from his clipboard and he's like, Peggy, what are you doing back here? And I was like, oh, I didn't think you remember who I
Right.
was. But he's like,
Everybody remembered you.
I was like, I said, he said, we don't usually take people a second time, but we'll see, whatever. And then I got the call. So I was like, yes, that was so great.
Now, did you walk in after you got the call knowing that you were going to actually be on the regular season? That
I did.
you were like, I can take this whole thing. I can win this whole thing.
I remember making a call to my parents when they flew me down. And I said, I'm going to win this. I remember telling them I'm going to win this thing. And then I remember meeting some of the other contenders. And I always tell Bernie Wooster was on the show with me. And I remember meeting her and we went to shake hands and she shook my hand so hard. I was like, oh, wow, these girls are strong. And then some little doubt comes into your head and everything like that. But I was like, okay, yeah, they all want it. So as much as I do. So, I can't, again, don't take anything for granted, just give it your all. So that was like my first, like, okay, this isn't going to be as easy as I thought.
Okay, so I remember that season because there was Bernie and then there was Lori Ferguson on that show. Yeah. I remember that. I do remember that season. Now, when you guys were, it's interesting that you say that Bernie shook your hand really hard. Mm-hmm. It's like, did contenders try to psych each other out?
Honestly, at that time, in my head, I thought she was trying to do that. Honestly, I thought, but later on we talked about it. She's like, oh no, I just was taught to do a firm handshake, and that's valid.
Right.
So, but at the time it was a little intimidating for me. So, yeah.
Oh my God. It's so funny that somebody actually got in your head a little bit.
Yeah.
You're an athlete. And usually athletes don't let people get in their head because we know the game.
Yeah, sometimes, you get those doubts, but you got to overcome them. And so I still was like, okay, I'm going to do the best that I can do. I'm going to give it my all, so.
Was there I think there was another contender. I don't think Bernie went all the way with you.
No, she didn't.
Who was it? There was another girl that went all the way and you guys went all the way to the final.
Yes.
And I forgot who that was that season as well.
I can see her face, but I cannot remember her name.
Because we were so focused on you. When you walked in, by the way, all the Gladiator girls were like, are you serious? Because it's like, it's not that the show was rigged or anything like that. But,
no, definitely not.
I mean, it was like, Gladiator girls, only speaking for the girls, the Gladiator girls, we went against athletes and stuff, but we were predominantly bigger, faster, stronger. And then when you walk through the doors, we just started laughing and we looked at each other and went, oh my God, we're done. And then when we went up against you, we were like, oh, we're done. And,
that's so funny.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, when one of the Gladiators drew you for the joust, we weren't happy, by the way.
Oh, no. Or even, it's so funny to hear this backstory, honestly.
Oh yeah. And even the breakthrough and conquer. We didn't want to go against you in that either. We were just like, oh no. You were the one to beat, but we could never beat you.
That's funny. I mean, like I said, this is great. I have never heard this backstory, but again, in my head, it was like, don't underestimate anybody and give everything you've got, come up with some strategies and go from there. So
I'm glad you had strategies because we had no strategy.
That's funny. Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, yes, you guys were bigger and stronger than we were. So if you didn't have strategy, if you just went in just blank face, you were going to get taken down. So you had to have something.
How tall and what were you weighing back then?
I was 5'10", probably 5'10" and a half, probably 163.
Okay, let's go there for a second.
Yeah.
5'10". Okay, so actually you're taller than I always. Okay, you're taller, but I always added some weight on you. So when people were like, well, what was she like? I go, the girl was like 5'9", 5'10", weighing like 180, and she was strong and she was fast and she just like dominated all of us. But still, I mean, think about it. We were all of us, I think excluding Shirley, Jazz was probably the tallest out of all of us. Maybe she was 5'9", something like that, possibly.
She was about as tall as me. So I would say she was probably 5'10". Kim Wilson.
That's
who it was.
That's right.
I knew it, wasn't it? Sorry. Yes.
I remember Kim. Kim was hard too.
Yeah, she was tough.
Fast.
Yeah.
She was fast. I do remember that. But it's interesting because, when that particular season, I would say that was probably the hardest season for the female gladiators. Most of the girls that came in contender wise, we pretty much could dominate. We could take them on. And then here's the other thing we liked about you. You never came in with an attitude. You were an athlete. You had the hunger to beat everybody and to win, but you never had that attitude. We used to have contenders come in, and I had one pull me aside and go, I trained all year to kick your ass. I was just like,
Big mistake. Huge mistake.
yeah, because the
Oh
funny
my
thing
gosh.
is when the girls, if the contenders came in with attitudes, the gladiator girls would like I don't want to say gang up on them.
I know. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did
I
you
hear
see
you.
that in
I
some?
did. I did. I took note of that. But that was the thing that I would tell people coming in. I was like, no, don't do that. Just go in, be humble, do your thing, and get off the field. you
No,
know?
you're right though. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. I mean, so tell me, how was the contenders as far as like, I mean, there had to have been just a little bit of drama backstage, something like a
Hmm.
little cattiness between girls. I mean, maybe you stayed out of it, but did you see it?
Honestly, I guess that first season that I did, the first regular season show, I didn't really notice it. Like in the beginning, like again, the Bernie Wooster hard handshaking, I was like, oh no. Okay, but I didn't really see a lot of cattiness. We were all kind of trying to, it was us against the gladiators, honestly. So
Mhm.
we were kind of either trying to help each other, okay, do this, do that, but still be competitive.
Okay,
Still
that's
when
kind of
you're on the
cool.
field with that person, you were going to try and beat them. I do remember I would go through my entire like track warm up. So I would like leave the area, go outside, do my little jogging, do my dynamic drills, do all this stuff. And I remember there was a PA or one of the production crew people were like, "Hey, you better, save your energy for the thing." I was like, "No, no. I know what I'm doing. I'm warming up, getting my heat, getting, settling, getting a little bit of sweat on. So I'm ready to go at the first game." And the one thing that I noted from some of the other contenders is they'd be sitting in the room or in just sitting down waiting for the games to start. And I was like, no, I got to be ready when the time comes, when the first thing starts, and I got to be ready to go. And a lot of them didn't really have that mentality. I'm not sure if it was, I mean, being an athlete and being a heptathlete, it was kind of a similar format. Several events over a period of time, you got to be ready to go when the gun goes off. So that was my mentality. That's what I brought in to it. And a lot of them weren't ready for that. They were like, okay, it's time to do the game. No warm up, no nothing. So it put me kind of at an advantage in the beginning, point wise, and they never caught up after that. So
So do you think that's what gave you that bump up, that
yeah,
edge up?
for
It,
sure.
okay, so you were mentally ready, you were
Yeah.
physically ready, your body was warm.
Mm-hmm.
So because a lot of people don't understand, also there was a lot of hurry up, sit around and wait,
Mm-hmm. It's true.
in
It's true.
between games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like once you got off a game and you won that game and you were psyched, well, then you had to sit around and wait.
Yeah. And it's about like being like super hype, super hype. And then you have to come down and chill. And then next game, getting super hype. So it's a lot. It was a lot of, so you have to kind of manage that in yourself and your body and everything. And again, I think being a heptathlete was definitely an advantage for me and being able to do that.
That
So
brings up another question because of the fact that we watched you guys and we used to laugh and go, oh, I'm so glad I'm not a contender because they got to be exhausted by the end of the day.
hmm
Because,
hmm
I might have done 2 games that day, or Siren might have done one, or, because they split up the gladiators, but you
right.
guys were doing every single event,
Yeah.
and I was like, this has got to be exhausting. And so by the time the eliminator came, we were just like, I mean, tell me,
Yeah.
tell me how that was for you after going.
Honestly, that was tough. It was, I mean, again, with the heptathlon training, the last event is the 800 meters. So you've got to still get up and be able to do that. So the eliminator was kind of like that for me. It was like the 800, like the last thing, and you just got to get through it, be mentally and physically prepared. But it was tough, honestly. I remember what's that thing with the bicycle with
I
the
was just going to
arm?
ask you
Oh, I
what was the
hated
hardest
that.
part of the eliminator?
Oh, I hated that because I wasn't the lightest person and having to carry up my whole body just basically on my arms, that was tough. That was really tough for me.
Did you
So,
find if you moved your legs at the same time doing that? Because I used to watch you guys as well going, Okay, well, some people have an advantage. They do the bike with their arms and they kind of get their legs moving at the same time. I was like, oh, that looks like it works.
I don't
Versus the
even.
people that drop their legs flat, like
Yes.
long, and they do this. It's like,
A
oh,
little bit of hang, and I you know what, I never really had a strategy for that because it was just all bad, it was all awful to me. So just I was like, just get through it. Just see if you can get through it and just kind of motor through. So
all right. What was your worst event that you hated? And I know
um
you get asked these questions like I do, but now I get to ask
yeah.
you
That
the
I
one
really
event that you
hated
dreaded
other than the Eliminator.
other than the
uh
Eliminator. Okay, so that
what
was a
was that
good.
one with the rings?
Oh, hang tough.
Hang Tough was, yeah, that was right. Because
Really?
again, you're all upper, it's all on upper body and stuff, and that took strategy. It was a lot. I mean, strength, strategy, um, fear, being chased,
Yeah.
so that was kind of like anxiety. That event was anxiety for me.
That was one of my favorite events, by the way.
Wow.
It was. It
Okay.
was fun. All right. So that one you didn't like. What about like was Pyramid around? Did you play the
Oh,
pyramid?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was tough. They usually like to put that towards the end of the day too, which was why, you're
Yeah.
dead and your legs are burning. You're trying to get up this, I don't know how high, maybe 18 inches high. Each block is 18 inches to the top.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was rough. It's like hill runs
Yes.
at the end of the day.
Yes.
So yeah, that
Give
was
me your
tough.
favorite one that was fun for you
Favorite one.
that you actually saw on the schedule and you're like, yeah,
I liked Powerball.
yes.
I loved Power because it was a little bit like football, and you could juke and basketball. It was fun. I
Girl,
liked
you just ran us over on Powerball. You literally like, douche, good ball. I mean,
it was fun. A little bit of technique, a little bit of juke. I loved that. That was fun.
and I can say, I remember there was one time, I think, if anything, Zap tried to grab you and you just kept running and she kind of just held on to you. I mean, because it was like, you were like, oh, get that fly off me.
Once you get going, your momentum gets going. It's easy to keep going. It's harder when you have to come from a dead stop. So I just kept moving, just
Girl,
trying
you
to
were
keep
like hitting a
moving.
brick wall because my thing is I could tackle most all the contenders. I literally could not take you down.
Oh,
You're like,
uh,
oh, that's too bad. You're funny. Okay, let's go international.
it was a fun event.
Let's go to international show.
International.
So,
Okay.
how was when we were over at the international show at the UK?
Hmm.
There was Australia, Finland,
Germany.
Germany. Was Russia there that year? I don't know if Russia was there that year.
I don't remember Russia.
Yeah, there was like three, four different countries. So you had to go against all of their gladiators.
Hmm.
Did any of them stand out to you at all compared to the Americans?
Honestly, I
Or
think I was more focused on the contenders than I was the gladiators because we all had to go up against the same gladiators. It was going to be equally as tough regardless. And I was more focused on beating the other country contenders
Mhm.
than, focusing on the gladiators. So I honestly feel like our American gladiators were much stronger and tougher than the international ones. Um, and I'm not sure why. Maybe they chose more for like, I don't know, TV viability only, rather than an athlete, a sports person. So,
Right.
but I definitely think our American gladiators were much stronger.
I
So,
think the contenders that went up against the American gladiators were pretty kind of surprised,
yeah, yeah.
you know, because I think you're right. The international gladiators, especially the girls, they were small.
Hmm.
They were like gymnasts, kind of
Yeah.
fitness chicks. They weren't
Hmm.
like solid, fast
Athletes.
bodybuilders.
Yeah. Yeah. I did notice that.
Yeah. And so except the one girl, I know you remember her. She was like crazy Eunice. Remember Eunice?
Oh, Eunice. Yes. That
Yeah.
name. Yes. Yeah. She was tough. Yeah.
Oh, and she was small, but she
Yeah.
was like,
Feisty. Just, yeah. I remember her.
she came after me.
She did.
Yeah. Yeah, she came after me. We were in the gauntlet.
Okay.
And you know how it's kind of like we'll wait in the gauntlet and then the contender comes up and it's like, especially if you have that big long, like,
Right.
I don't know, log looking thing.
Right.
And I waited for her, and just at the right minute, I took it and I kind of hit her in the head. And I don't think she was expecting that. And it kind of, I think, pissed her off. And then she ran through, and after she ran through the gauntlet and it ended, she came right back.
I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
She came
That's crazy.
after me, and I was just like, I still
Were
had my helmet on. I was like, all right, let's go.
Let's go. I do remember that. Did they get that on TV?
I think they did.
Oh,
They did.
wow.
Yeah, they did.
Wow. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
do remember that. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on? It's part
see,
of the
that's the
game.
fun. Yeah, that's the fun competition, the drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, you go back on looking at some of the Gladiator, episodes. It's like some of the contenders they got pissed.
Yeah. I know. It's a pride thing a little bit. It's an ego thing. And when you're in the moment, sometimes you're not thinking, oh, this is a game. I'm trying to win and I'm competitive and it's a game, but they forget that part of it. It's a game, They're gonna try and get you. You're trying to get beyond them. So they sometimes take it a little too far, but competitiveness sometimes takes over and people lose their heads.
But see,
So
that's what made you such a great competitor and a
thank
contender.
you.
That you
Thank
were
you.
just so like down to earth. You kept your level headedness. You were humble, and yet you came out striking hard.
Yeah, tried.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did. You did, girl. I mean, let's put it this way. Every single interview I've ever done. Okay. So we're talking from back then all the way to here, 30, 35 years. And once
Mm,
they get into contender questions, who was the toughest to beat? I mean, you are on the tip of everybody's lips, all females. Peggy Odita, Peggy
that's
Odita,
funny.
Peggy
That's
Odita.
funny.
I mean, you go down in history with all the gladiators being
Wow.
the one to beat,
Wow.
because you were so tough, so hard, and yet you kicked all of our asses and won the whole thing.
Ah, that's a nice legacy to have.
Yeah, you do. Tell me, did you like the documentary?
Honestly, I've only watched a few episodes of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it is interesting, honestly, to hear some of the backstory. I haven't watched the whole thing yet because I don't like watching myself on
Are you
TV.
serious?
I'm serious. But
Oh,
my people would call me and say, "Hey, have you watched it? Have you watched it?" I was like, "No, I have not."
really?
Yeah, but I did get on and watch few episodes, and then I started to get drawn in. I
Yeah,
was like, "Oh, this is good. This is really good.
yeah.
They did a good job."
They did a very, very good job on it.
Yeah.
With all the producers, and now who was I don't was it Brian Gudensky who was the producer the year that you were on it? I can't remember.
Um, I think, yeah,
I think
is
it
it Brian?
was.
I think it was. Yeah.
I know. Hold on. I have again, like I had like 75 questions for you.
Oh,
Come on, I'm on the plane. I'm like, okay, here's all the questions for Peggy that I've wanted to ask her. Oh, what were you doing before Gladiators?
I was in school and then after school training to try and make an Olympic team in the heptathlon. So
Did you make it?
I did not.
Dude,
That's tough. Top three, go. I think the closest I came was like I came like 10th one year, but it's tough. The US is tough for heptathlon. So, and those were the years that like Jackie Joyner Kersey was still,
oh
competing.
yeah.
So it was like, yeah, no.
She
But
was.
it was fun. I loved training for it. I loved, striving for my best. Um, so yeah.
What'd you do after Gladiators?
After Gladiators,
What was your life path?
life path. Okay, so I did try for a few Olympics, and then after that, I was like, okay, so what am I doing now? I did some project management work, and continued to work out and stuff like that. Stay physical. Um, Ended up opening up my own business, my own interior design business, um, and also coaching. So I couldn't stay away from track, so I started coaching high jumpers and hurdlers and stuff at my kids' high school. And my kids have since graduated, but I'm still there, because I love it and
Nice.
loving seeing the kids develop and getting them to their best.
Now, right after the show, were people recognizing you?
Yes. Yes, I was getting calls and emails and texts and random people sending me stuff.
Right? You're like, how'd you get my address?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Always,
yeah.
always, still to this day.
Yeah.
did you like that attention, or did it, or are you an introvert and kind of shy and
I'm more of a private person. So sometimes, I would engage and be like, oh, thank you, this and that. And then I think I had one person that like showed up at my work.
what?
Yeah. I wasn't there that day for some reason. I can't remember why I wasn't there that day. I had the day off. And they told me, oh, yeah, the guy came and, wanted to meet you. And I was like, okay. That's,
Wow.
yeah, a little bit beyond the fandom stuff. So,
Right.
yeah, that kind of stuff, not so much. But, I did enjoy talking to people and people asking for autographs and stuff. That was fun. But I'm pretty much a normal, down to earth person. So, you go, you do your fan stuff and whatever, and come home and you got your space, you know.
Yeah. True.
So
True.
yeah,
That's so cool. It's kind of cool though. It is.
yeah, a little bit. I mean, a lot of people don't get that opportunity. So
Well,
I
I'm
should.
glad that you enjoyed it too. I'm glad that you enjoyed signing autographs and
Yeah,
you're kind of out in the public eye and people are recognizing you. It is fun and a lot of people don't get to experience that for the
yeah,
moment.
true.
And then I remember somebody goes, does it bother you that people, come up and ask you for your autograph, like while you're signing or eating dinner? And I was like, actually, no, it's going to bother me when it stops. But yeah, it's like, it's so cool that you actually got to experience that. And I mean, but you were a big presence when you were doing Gladiators, because it's so funny because my fans, they love the Gladiators. And it's like, if I don't ask enough questions about the Gladiators, they're like, you didn't dive deep enough. And I was like,
Why didn't you ask this?
exactly. It's like, how deep do you want me to dive?
Yeah.
Okay, so I asked you that easiest gladiators, hardest gladiators, funnest games, international. Oh my God, there's so much. There was so much. Now after the gladiators were done and they came to you 30 years later and said, okay, we're going to be doing a documentary and it's going to be on Netflix. They didn't have the name for it yet.
Hmm.
And how many hours did they interview you?
It wasn't that long, honestly.
Was
They
it
had me come
surprising?
out. Yeah, surprisingly, they had me come out. They asked me, maybe it was, I don't know, 35 minutes worth of work. I mean, they were pretty well organized. I don't know. I don't believe I was one of the first people, so they kind of had it dialed in.
Ah,
Yeah, so, sat there. They asked me a question. Had to wait for planes to fly over. I can't remember where we were.
constantly. We're
It was
downtown LA.
noisy.
Yes.
But yeah, it was pretty smooth, pretty quick.
Did anything that they ask you, I mean, were you kind of surprised? Okay, you haven't, did you got to watch the whole thing.
I know, I know,
I mean,
I
I
need
can't even ask
to.
you the question now because of the fact
You
that
can
you didn't
ask.
even watch yourself.
I
It's like,
can say I don't know.
exactly. Because of the fact that it's like, okay, so, whatever they asked you, it's what landed on the floor and were you concerned of how they were going to portray you, I guess. It's like
Um,
because when they're asking you a lot of interview questions, they can put you in a light that's a great light, or they can actually downplay it a little bit. And so we were concerned, because
yeah.
I had we had like 6 hour interviews and we were just like, okay, what's going to land on the editing floor?
Hmm.
What are they actually going to use?
Yeah. What story are you trying to tell?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
did you have any encounters whatsoever with like Johnny Ferraro whatsoever when he was on set, the creator of the show? So see, you didn't
No.
even have any encounters with him
No, not at all.
whatsoever.
It was definitely more focused on the gladiators than it was contenders. We were
Hmm.
kind of probably just like kind of fill in on some, maybe a little bit of holes about the show, but
Right.
they were like deep diving on you guys,
Really?
behind the scenes, personal stuff. I was like, I don't know. I'll take the fifth on that. I don't know. Yeah, they were okay. So what, can you tell me, what was going on between this gladiator and this gladiator? I was like, I don't know. I can't answer that question. So, so I was not very helpful in that regard, but so they just
That's why your interview was only 35 minutes.
yeah, right. They're like,
You're like, this
we're
girl
gonna
doesn't
get
know
some
anything.
dirt.
Next, let's move on.
No dirt.
Yeah, they did. They wanted to go for some dirt.
Yeah.
Now, when we went to the Orlando live show, at
Hmm.
the very end, I'm surprised that they didn't. I mean, did they ask you to show up and to do the Orlando live?
No, I didn't know. I did not get a call for that. And again, it might have been just more focused on you guys. So that,
Yeah,
that makes
you're
sense.
kind of you're the Orlando live show. You're kind of lucky then that you probably didn't do that. We're actually lucky that you didn't do it because then we would have had to compete against you every night. The Orlando live was they actually remember they took the show down to Orlando and Kissimmee and they did a live dinner theater show.
Oh, wow.
And they actually hired contestants that were on salary. So therefore, not only were the gladiators every night the same gladiators, but then they had the same contestants as well, because they figured the people coming in, watching the show and eating dinner, doing the gladiator live show, they were not going to come back the second and third and fourth night and see the same exact contenders. So I was surprised that they didn't ask some of our contenders on the show to show up to Orlando to actually compete with us.
Oh, no way. No way. Yeah. My competing days for that are over. They're over. This was recent?
No, this was way back when we were doing, this was at the very, very end of our show.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
end. No, I don't know. I didn't even know you guys did that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We went there and it was just intense. And we were doing it. I didn't move there. Like Shirley moved there, Sky moved there, Siren moved there, and they actually did the show every single night.
Oh, so it's like a Vegas thing, kind of, but in Florida.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
How did that do?
Not well.
They should have had it in Vegas.
Exactly. It was actually, believe it or not, Vegas was one of the considered venues.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And it fell through. I think Vegas was the very first venue they wanted to go to. That would have made more sense.
Yeah.
And since it didn't work out in Vegas, they took it down to Orlando Live.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's crazy how they came about doing that. All right. Next question. See, it's so funny because I see now that, you were to yourself. I could tell you were like that athlete to yourself in the back and just like, any kind of contender drama, I could see Peggy really goes, okay, you do you.
I'm out.
I'm out. I'm going to win this thing. And you guys are all going to be over there having your own damn drama. Was there any kind of funny moments or embarrassing moments that happened on the show for you? If you remember anything.
Funny moments. Well, I was embarrassed to fall off of that eliminator thing. I don't even know what to call that. That bike pedal thing. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I was going, and then I just felt something go in my shoulder, and I was like, that's when I dropped. And it turned out I had torn my rotator cuff.
Okay, that was another question I had on here.
Yeah.
Any injuries?
But still, like I was like, oh, I can't believe this. Oh, yes, embarrassing. When we were international. And my light is going out here, so it's struggling to,
It's good. You're fine.
They call it a travelator rather than the treadmill. They call it internationally. It's called the travelator, but the treadmill at the end of the eliminator. And I remember theirs internationally was steeper and it was a little bit longer.
Oh.
And I had no strategy for it really, because at home, in the US, it's like just run up and get it done. This was steeper and it was hard. And I just remember trying to get at that. Boom. Coming all the way back down. Going again. Boom. Coming all the way back down. My knees were skinned. Just skin off the knees. I was like, oh my gosh. Am I not going to be able to get up this thing? So I'm sitting at the bottom, just hands on the knees, like catching myself, thinking they're going to slow it down. They got to slow it down because they can't have us doing this like this for this long.
The other girl was doing that too, wasn't she?
Yes, we both were. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was like, okay, as soon as they slow it down, catch yourself. As soon as they slow it down, everything you got, just get up. Yeah. So I saw them slow it down and I took off, managed to get up of it. And at the end, and people are screaming. The crowd is just like, go. And I remember saying to the producer, or whoever it was at the time, I was like, oh my God, that was so embarrassing. He's like, no, it's great TV. Exactly. Everyone was on their feet. It was so fantastic. I'm like, yeah, my knees are skinned. I'm looking crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I know, better TV. So that was my next question. So I don't remember the crowd size. Let's hypothetically say that arena held, I don't know, 5,000 people,
Mm.
hypothetically. I don't even know what it
Mhm.
held. Was it a lot of fun competing in front of a large crowd like that?
Honestly, I didn't notice the crowd.
That's pretty
I,
bad.
I'm
You
so
were
zoned
so
in.
focused.
I'm so zoned in. I did notice it after falling on the travelator that many times. I was like, oh,
Then you
it's
noticed the
embarrassing.
crowd.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
Oh,
I
come
didn't,
on.
I could hear the screaming, but
Yeah.
and it was kind of, I guess it was motivating in that regard, but I was so focused on what I needed to do. It wasn't like they took me in or took me out of what I was trying to do, you know?
Okay, because I was going to ask you which was harder, like
Hmm.
competing on a soundstage to where there's really no audience,
Hmm.
to an arena full of 5 to 8,000 people screaming and chanting and everything else. I
I
mean,
think there was always somebody there. I know when we were in the United States, they brought school children in, even if they couldn't feel I loved that. I loved having the little kids there, they were so excited and, they were the ones asking for autographs. It was so much fun. And I loved, interfacing with the kids and stuff. So, um, I didn't, again, for me, I was hyper focused on what I needed to do. So it was after the games were done or something. Then it was like, oh, let me go, talk to these little kids or whatever, or give an autograph. And afterwards, then it was like, okay. And they would bring signs, and that was exciting, actually.
yeah,
And
see,
I noticed it more at the end of the games rather than during. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Now, what is like a message that, because I know you get this a lot, even like with your coaching and everything else and being on the show, it's like with little kids, it's like, what do you tell them when they aspire to, be like you and be the athlete that you are? I mean, let's say they're like around 10 to 13 area, which is like that perfect age once they start getting into the sports and everything. I mean, is there something that you actually kind of the little motivation thing that you say to them, or what keeps them, gets their
I,
eyes all light, lit up?
I do remember I did get an opportunity to be a referee on the kids version of Gladiators.
Oh,
So
Gladiators
they did
2000.
call me to do that. And I remember these kids, they'd go through the games. And I remember this one little boy who he didn't do so well on one of the games. And he just, kids wear their hearts on their sleeves. And this kid's face just looked like, he's so sad. And I went up to him. I was like, don't worry. You're doing so good. You know what? You get another chance because there's another game. So just don't think about this last thing that's done. You can do better on the next one. And then his face just lit up. And I was like, if I can be that, and that's why I love coaching. If I can be that kind of inspiration or motivation for someone, don't get bogged down by the things that happen that are bad and look forward to what you can do, then that's, what more can I ask for as a human being and a coach and,
Right.
someone who inspires. So
That is so cute.
yeah, it was so
Love
cute. The
that.
kid was so cute.
When going back to the international show, did you do any games? Like, I know they had poleaxe, they had that big pendulum swinging thing.
Uh,
Was there a game that you remember that you did that you went, I've had no practice on this? Poleaxe was insane. Did you get to do that? That's where the pole was like, I don't know, it seemed like it was 50 feet and they had the pegs and you had to climb up to the top, hit it, and then the other contenders, all their stuff's like sucked into the pole and they had the fall.
oh my gosh. I remember that. I
There
don't
you go.
remember doing it. Maybe I blocked it out
You had to have
of my
blocked it out because
memory.
I remember doing it. I remember looking at it going, oh, hell no, I ain't doing that one.
Yeah, that's a recipe for injury. That's
Yes.
just crazy. I remember that game.
Yeah.
And I don't think I watched it on TV, so I must have been there for it.
Yeah. You were there.
um,
You were there for it. They made you do it.
um, that was scary, actually. I don't know if I lost it, if I ever lost that. So I don't think I had to experience the poles
Oh,
disappearing. Yeah, I don't think I experienced it. So, but yeah, that was crazy.
how were you on the wall with your height and your weight?
Yeah,
Was it
it's
hard
the
for you
lighter
or no?
people obviously did better on that because it's the
Mhm.
higher, pulling yourself up and the higher you get, it's like gravity is pulling harder on you.
Yeah.
Um, but technique, just they told you keep your body as close to the wall as you can. And, that was a tough one too. Again, upper body strength
Yeah.
and, being one of the not smaller. contenders having to deal with, upper body strength. That's where I think I lacked a little bit, but tried to manage in other ways. So,
Did you ever think about ever going on ever any kind of other type of shows? Like, for instance, American Ninja Warrior, or like The Rock had the Titan show, to
yeah,
where it's kind of like all these off
offshoots.
shoots.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
did you ever
I,
like consider doing any of them?
no,
No.
no, man, I was
Why?
undefeated. Why am I going to try and ruin that? I'm going down
Come
undefeated.
on. You went into retirement on the top. That's what it's like.
Exactly, exactly.
Oh no, I thought you'd come out of retirement and try these other shows. Well,
No.
I won the Gladiator show, so
Ugh.
this is going to be cake.
No, no, I knew how. I mean, honestly, again, I said it before going in, I was like, oh, that looks easy. As soon as you get in there, like, oh, no, it's not as easy as you think. And I didn't have, you know, that type of confidence watching these other shows. I'm like, no, these have got to be hard because if that was hard, this has got to be, and they're trying to up the levels.
Yeah.
American Warrior Ninja was crazy.
Oh, nuts.
I'm like, people are signing up for this?
Yeah.
This is crazy. And you see their bodies flinging left and right. I can't imagine how many people have gotten hurt on that show.
Oh,
But,
tons.
yeah.
Tons and tons. And even the Titan games, like the Rocks games. I mean, our games, I think our games were like, they were pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying so hard to make new games, but you weren't there for Human Cannonball, were you? I think they took it out. Thank God.
What was that?
I can't even imagine you being on a Human Cannonball. It's like where your pedestal is up here and there's a rope and you like jump on this rope and there's a little wooden thing that you sit on and you swing down and knock off the gladiator.
No.
By the time you guys hit us, you were 10 times your body weight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's physics.
Thank
That's
God
terrible.
that wasn't there for you.
I'm sure people must have gotten hurt. Or you guys braced yourselves for that?
I got nerve damage so bad in my left arm. Did you get hurt, by the way?
The only one, like I said, I was on that little bicycle. What is that thing called?
It's just a bicycle.
The bicycle hand bike thing.
Hand bike.
That was the only thing. I tore my rotator cuff at that time. And thank goodness that was the end of the show. And the very last, I think it was the finals, the end of the show. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I made it all the way here and I'm about to lose. What? And I remember thinking I had to take my penalty time, whatever it was, 10 seconds. And I could see, I think it was against Kim.
Probably.
She's coming. She passed me. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, I think I remember looking up at, I think it was Siren. It was either Siren or you. I was like, help me. I was like, help me. So I like climbing up the ladder to get to the other thing. And I was like, okay, calm down. Yeah. Calm down.
Yeah.
I just got focused. And I think I'd passed her on the way up the cargo net after she had passed me. She got a little tied up and I just was like, boom, 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 boom. And managed to pull it off. But yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
So tell me how old the kids are that you're coaching now.
They're high school age. So anywhere from 9th grade to seniors, 12th grade. And I did coach my kids when they were like probably 8, 9, 10 years old,
Were they into it?
Age group. They were, okay. Both my son and my daughter both were into track, but by the time they got to high school, my daughter did track all the way through high school, but my son, he's like, I'm going to do soccer. He wanted to do soccer through. So that's what he did. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're married. I
am.
Your grandma yet?
Oh, no. No, hopefully not. My daughter is 21. She's in her last year of college.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I'm not looking towards that yet.
I can't believe so much. It's so bizarre that so much time has passed.
Yeah.
And that documentary just kind of resurged a lot.
Yeah. It's brought a lot of stuff back. And I know that they'd been to every, 4th of July, they do the, American Gladiators against, the world's international thing because we both men and women ended up winning. So that's like a big thing. So they air that every 4th of July or whatever. But yeah, definitely a big resurgence. I'm getting people calling me and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, it's ages ago. It's ages ago.
Okay, but wait a minute. Just a couple more questions. And that is this. You say you don't like watching yourself, but did you go back and watch all the shows that you were actually on that you competed. I mean, you had
No.
to have. What?
No, I did not.
Oh my goodness. Like your kids, I mean, they had to have watched it.
I honestly,
Oh
I
my God,
think
you're
you
so
could, you
humble.
can get
It's
on
so funny.
YouTube and
Oh yeah.
do a search. So if somebody wanted to see something, they could go there and do that.
Yeah.
I remember, and I don't know. Oh, it's because of this show
Yeah.
that my high school kids, because I never tell anybody. Oh yeah, I was on that. I did that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, my mom used to watch that. She's
Yeah.
like, I saw you on blah blah blah, and I was like, oh yeah, and that's why I'm like, ages ago, ages ago.
Oh, that's so cute
So
though.
my high school kids come up to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you did that. I was like, yeah, it was a while ago. Don't worry
Oh,
about
listen to you all nice and humble. Oh, that was just a little bit ago.
it.
Girl, you were the one. And that's why, I mean, that's obviously what came about, definitely in the documentary. So I could imagine the high school kids are just like, oh, do they call
Yeah,
you Miss Odita? Well, wait, what's your last name now?
Odell. So I go by Odita Hodel.
Okay. God,
Yeah,
that's close.
yeah. It flows nice. It flows nicely. So
Yeah, it does.
yeah,
I could see them all going, oh my God, that's her. That's her.
yeah,
Because so many people watched it,
yeah.
and it's there. I had like a little picture that they put in there with two girls that I was playing golf with. I didn't even know they were putting it in there because they're like, what are you doing in your pastime? I play a lot of golf. And there was like a little
Oh,
picture.
nice.
And then all of a sudden, these girls are calling me going, oh, thank you. Oh my God, you're making me famous. I'm on Netflix now. We were playing golf together. We were just laughing
Oh,
about it,
wow.
but it's just really, it's fun. It's so much fun. I am so glad that you had so much fun doing that show, though.
Yeah, it was great.
And
Definitely. I called it the Gladiator Gravy Train because I was a broke, struggling Olympic hopeful, and couldn't work a ton because I was trying to train. So that income was very nice.
oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad it
Yeah,
worked out for you.
yeah.
Peggy, thank you. Thank you for coming on my podcast and answering so many questions that so many people wanted to know. They're like, when are you going to have a contender? When are you going to have Peggy on your show? Because
I enjoyed it. I
yeah, I'm
enjoyed it.
so happy that
Yeah,
thank you so much for coming on. What do you, are you just coaching right now? You're just coaching high school and
I am coaching, and like I said, I'm also have my own interior design business, so I do projects here and there, and just basically loving life.
where are you located now?
I'm in Orange County,
Okay.
so but I do a lot of remote designs as well. So I've got some people in Ohio, some in Maryland, and
Come on,
so I've
plug the
done
name of your business then. What is it?
Peggy Odita Hodel Interior Design.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'll have you come out and do my house.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm still out here in Los Angeles. I'm right here in the valley, right next to the studios. So
Oh, cool.
exactly. Peggy, thank you so much. I loved it. It was so much fun catching up with you and talking with you. And you look fabulous.
Thanks.
Girl, how old are you now?
Too old.
All right, we'll just keep
I'm
it
keeping it
at
to
that.
myself. I
Keep it
got
there.
carded yesterday, so I'm gonna leave it at that.
Oh, there you go. That's always nice.
I'm
You're
like,
can we have
thank
your ID?
you.
You're like,
And
yes.
thank you. I don't even get mad.
I know, I know. You're awesome. Thank you so much. And it was great catching up with you. And thank you for answering all my little questions and everything that everybody wanted to know. So
Thanks so much, Ice. It was so much fun.
thank you so much. All right. Everyone, thank you so much for listening to Chillin' with Ice. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and go ahead and rate it for me. And thank you. And until next time, this is Chillin' with Ice, where legends live on. Thank you so much for listening to Chillin' with Ice. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share wherever you listen to your podcast. Remember to follow us on Patreon and YouTube at Chillin' with Ice. And on Instagram and TikTok, you can follow me at lori.ice.fetrick. I look forward to chilling with you next time here on Chillin' with Ice.